Employing millennials in a state agency, snowflakes or the next big thing? Talk to me.
Great question. I'll have a go at this one first.
You go first.
Can we get some avocado on toast, please, for the lady in the corner?
Coach Beck as well, please.
Well, don't be
Some
offended.
chili flakes if
Don't
you
be
don't mind.
offended. Oh, you're not offended, are you?
No.
Oh, don't be offended.
No, I'd happily take it. I'm
she doesn't
starving.
Do you know, let me start being controversial, okay? I have done a number of videos about asking how to employ millennials in a state agency.
Well, yeah,
Have you ever asked it to a millennial?
Well, we're going to do that in a second, because you're a millennial. Or you didn't have a tough paper round. That's a compliment.
There is no both.
That's a compliment.
Yes.
Don't be offended. Okay, so I post these videos, and let's be honest, I do those videos with the words at the top. Mm-hmm. And the number of people under the age of 32, 33 who say, I am offended by everything what you have said and what this video is about. And then if you actually watch the video, apart from a little bit of 30 seconds snowflake at the start, just to, razz it up a bit, it's very, very complimentary. So they won't even bloody watch the sodding video, but they're offended.
They've only got 30 seconds, that's it. They're not
well, look,
watching beyond this point.
I have hired millennials. I've recruited millennials in my former life. So
it's beanbags and free food, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's I mean, I can tell you, there's as many people who are in the baby boomer, in Gen X, in other categories, I suppose, for want of a better word, that are, you could easily say exactly the same about those people as well. Permanently aggrieved baby boomers and Gen X's, like me, I'm always moaning about things. But it always comes down to the type of person you're meeting and whether actually you're not pigeonholing them to begin with. That's
do you think
that's
it's
a
right
danger.
that we do pigeonhole people into categories?
No. I think you've got to look for a cultural fit for your business. If you're recruiting somebody, culture goes first, experience second in my line of what I would recommend, because the business has a culture.
Because let's be frank, most bosses tend to be baby boomer age, in the ages of late 40s, 50s, early 60s. Do you think they were misunderstood when they were teenagers in their 20s? And it's just the case of the older generation always blame the younger generation?
I think a lot of headlines have got a lot to do with it. A lot of news information, a lot of talk, like we said earlier on about the importance of headlines. I think you look at the influencing that baby boomers and Gen X's have had by the word millennial and what is associated with millennials. Has probably influenced a lot of people to go broad brush. They're all the same, which is not true at all.
Okay, Sarah, I think you're the first millennial on this so far. What's your opinion? And I'd like not initially for you to talk as the industry, not as yourself.
Yeah, I think from an industry perspective, there is obviously a lot of people at the front line of our businesses. Let's make this clear: they are generally in the negotiator or senior negotiators. Some now moving up into value and branch manager roles, who are millennials. So no matter what we think of them, we need to understand the situation. And I'm saying them because I am one. Yes. And it's there. I've met some millennials, as I've met some baby boomers, and various different generational things that we talk about that are unbelievably motivated, completely talented, and go-getters. I've also met people, not within the industry necessarily, but of all the different generations that really are a bit lazy and a bit layabout. So
I'd say that's a lot of estate agents.
Yep.
So it's not an age thing.
I personally don't think it's an age thing. I got the train up from London on Friday night, and I sat next to a young man, and he was 24 years old, and he was so articulate, really came across very well. And I thought to myself, he might get pigeonholed just because he looks young. He could barely grow a beard, but actually he was speaking. So he was a management consultant. He was talking very, very clearly. And
how can a 24-year-old management consultant go in and tell a 50, 60-year-old how to run their business? I mean, I could turn around to you. How can you go in and talk to someone? What experience do you have, or is it experience?
Absolutely. So I think that's a really great question. Experience is sometimes confused, I think, with you have been in an industry or you have done something, your career has spanned a number of years. From my point of view, experience, whilst it isn't, you do need to have done it, and I still get on the phones with clients now. We go out on listing appointments, we go out on viewings, we actually speak to the front line, because it means that we can deal with our customers with integrity.
Come on, Sarah, get to the point.
Okay, so essentially, it doesn't matter how many years you've been doing something, it's about how committed you are to developing your knowledge and your expertise in that field. And I have worked extremely hard over the last 6-7 years since I graduated from doing business, which frankly was not.
How did you get into a estate agency then?
I have no idea. I just decided I wanted to do something different. I was a sales and marketing manager for one of the country's biggest holiday let companies.
Okay.
And I decided I wanted to do something else, and I knew a few people and just fell into it. But actually what I ended up doing was working extremely hard, very long hours, all those sorts of things, and many people do. And I just was very committed to progressing, but also very committed to learning.
Okay, but come back to the question. We were talking about these millennials. I often find a lot of them have a sense of entitlement. Is that true? Do you find that?
Yeah, I think social media's got a lot to answer for in terms of the perhaps unrealistic aspirations that it gives people, and therefore they think that they should get it too, whereas they don't realise sometimes the hard work that's gone involved.
What can bosses do to ensure that they have motivated millennials in their estate agency?
I think you've got to understand them first and foremost.
Okay.
It's understand what motivates them. So if they want to go
Is
on
it money?
Not always. Sometimes it is. So for me, it was career progression. For somebody else, it might be learning and qualifications. For somebody else, it might be, I want to go on holiday to Ibiza 4 times a year. For somebody else, it might be, I want the flashiest car and the nicest watch and the nicest handbag. Somebody else might have aspirations to start a property portfolio. So there are so many different motivations.
Yes.
But as a manager, we've got to find out what it is, and then we can work back.
Yeah, we've had some various people on this sofa, and one big tips they say is ask what they want, but don't always take the first answer. You've got to drill down. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes, here's a huge tip for you, is in the old days when we were lads, it was your basic and your commission and your car, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
What a huge tip for you, which Peter Ambrose and a few others have said, is hold some of the commission back. Not to hold it back, but don't pay as much, but have it like a pot. So when someone wins, so if let's just say someone does really well, they get their salary, they get their commission, but they also want a little gift, which they choose, which is either a day off or a day at a spa. I mean, we're often at the spa, obviously, with our, with your
shopping normally.
Yeah.
One of our clients in Westminster in London, neg of the month, drives around in a Porsche.
Wow.
Love it.
I think just on this point, to put a final point on it. Don't pigeonhole anybody. You're going to teach an estate agent when you take them on, or encourage them to understand the needs and the wants of their customers. Do that with your staff first, with your team first.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're 30, 20, 60. They'll all have a reason.
They like avocado.
Or they like avocado or not. They all have a reason for being there. Be bothered to find that out and then work on that, and don't pigeonhole
Sounds like
anybody.
just being a proper human being.
I think that's the first starting point.
Amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.